Hey y'all, hey, welcome back to the Lightning Bolt Chronicles. It's me, Christina McCrary on Facebook, aka Xtina McCrazy on TikTok and Instagram, host of a whole plethora of podcasts. I'll give you the rundown at the end, and co-host of this wonderful magical podcast, the Lightning Bolt Chronicles. Beautiful co-host, please introduce yourself.
Hi, magical friends. I sound a little stuffy. I just got over, the viddy. So sorry if I hack up half a lung throughout. It's me, Erica, your local Hufflepuff. Nice to see you again. Welcome back. And I am Poodle Noodle 82, all around the world. And I'm co-host of this right here, this magical time with my bestie. Today, we're back to our regular shenanigans. But before we begin, very quickly, I just want to say thank you. A little special shout out to one of my students who she went to the Wizarding World at USJ, and she brought me back this most adorable little keychain. How cute is that? And
frigging adorable.
I know, right? You put it in your little auxiliary jack thing, and the fun doesn't stop there. This cute tin. It's a little niffler tin, and there's a niffler inside.
Well, that's clearly for holding shiny things.
Obviously, including money from Universal Studios Japan. So, very quickly, I just wanted to say thank you for all of my lovely gifts. And now that I've said thank you, I can open it and actually start using it. So,
the waiting.
I waited.
Awesome. That's funny. Okay, guys.
I did eat the chocolate coins, though.
That's fair.
They were delicious.
That's fair.
I saved two for aesthetic purposes.
It's very Niffler-esque.
Yeah.
All right, guys. If you are returning, you know that our last regular Chronicle episode, we did chapter 7 of book 1, which ended with Harry's arrival and first night falling asleep in his dorm in the Gryffindor Tower of Hogwarts. It's been 6 weeks and 2 special episodes and a whole whirlwind of reels. I hope you guys have been watching because Erica has learned a lot. And we have worked very hard to give you guys all the best of the very, 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 very large amount of content that we collected for you.
Oh, yeah.
That said, we're moving on to chapter 8, The Potions Master. And essentially this chapter is kind of Harry's first week at school, the first day, and then into like the first week and what classes are like and how they do astronomy first it's kind of, especially the first day, him and Ron totally getting lost trying to figure out where the heck they're supposed to be going most of the time, because hold on, I gotta read it directly from the book. Which just went dark. Why? Oh, okay. So essentially they keep getting lost because the castle is friggin' huge and they have no idea where they're going, and it's literally their first day. And so it says, there were 142 staircases at Hogwarts. Wide sweeping ones, narrow rickety ones, some that led somewhere different on a Friday, some with a vanishing step halfway up that you had to remember to jump. Then there were doors that wouldn't open unless you asked politely or tickled them in exactly the right place, and doors that weren't really doors at all, but solid walls just pretending. And so I think it said him and Ron probably got all the way to Friday before they like got to classes without getting lost.
It wasn't classes. It was to get downstairs to breakfast, just to get to the Great Hall. It took them until Friday to get there without being lost.
That's what it was. So the whole first week of school, they got lost on the way to breakfast, except for Friday. Oh, and then it goes on to tell about their classes and about how Professor Sprout teaches herbology, and they have herbology with the Hufflepuffs, and how the Slytherins. Most of their classes are with the Slytherins, aren't they? They have potions with the Slytherins. They have transfiguration taught with Mrs. McGonagall. They have charms taught by Professor Flitwick. And they have astronomy Wednesday nights at midnight up on the astronomy tower with Professor Sinestra. I'm missing a teacher.
Oh,
herbology. Oh, yes. And of course, see, history of magic, their most boring subject, literally taught by a ghost. The story behind this guy is that he fell asleep in the teacher's lounge one day and was so tired that he got up as a ghost and just kept on teaching. And that's what he does.
So he must have died in the chair in the teacher's room, and it says basically that he just got up and left his body there and continued, on his role. Now,
and he's the only ghost teacher at Hogwarts.
I have a question. Logical question about this scenario. Right. His paycheck. Does he receive a paycheck as a ghost professor? Does he not receive money? And in this case, is it some sort of like volunteer work? Is Hogwarts, are the books at Hogwarts reflecting paying a teacher or getting like a tax break or what?
It's a very good question. Because I'm sure Dumbledore would be willing to pay him whatever it is that he wanted, but like, what does a ghost want?
Really, really rotten food, as we will come to find out later.
I mean, I'm sure that's not a problem. There was plenty yeah. I mean, I'm sure it's easy enough to come by. No?
Yeah, that thought just kept bothering me.
It's a bit weird. It's a bit weird.
I mean, they're getting a huge break right there. One entire professor's salary. Right?
Sure. But I mean,
go on.
Magic.
Exactly.
And of course, we meet Argus Filch, the caretaker, and his cat, Mrs. Norris, which leads me to a logical question.
Okay.
I told you the other day I turned off my phone and I marathoned Fantastic Beasts again, all three of them, right?
Yeah.
Do you think Mrs. Norris is a maledictus?
Oh, there's a lot in the interwebby space regarding this. And I think I don't know. I don't know if it's really been confirmed
canon or not.
Yeah, but somebody said that she was.
The thinking is that she is?
Yeah.
I could see that being true. It just I don't follow a lot of the theory and stuff anyway, but because I especially hate fanfic, but of anything. Like I don't like fanfic. I don't know why. But yeah, this time as I was reading, I was like, I wonder if, because I had just watched, which one is the second one? The Crimes of Grindelwald.
Yes.
Anyway, so that is their week. And then on Friday morning, Harry gets an owl. Hedwig. Oh. Harry gets an owl from Hagrid asking if he wants to come to tea that afternoon. And Ron asks if he can join. And what?
How is it, or why is it that Harry gets an owl?
Because that's how the mail comes.
Yes. We need to explain. What? That's how the mail comes. At first,
because it does say by Friday he was used to the hundreds of owls that just come flying into the Great Hall.
Imagine you're sitting down for breakfast. You first of all got lost getting there because 142 random staircases. And then you're sitting down to breakfast, probably late, rushing through it, and all of a sudden just swarms of owls just come pelting through the windows. I imagine it's quite drafty in the Great Hall, because how do owls fly in if there aren't any windows or like open spaces, right? Anyway.
But magic. Dumbledore could have thought of something.
I'm sure they've got some sort of magical heating.
They always think of something.
That I wish I could have in this room, because it's a little chilly. But yeah, so these just massive amounts of owls come flying in with mail deliveries for all the kids.
And that's not just letters. That's packages. That's deliveries. That's whatever. And they just come and land on the table.
Yep. And drink out of your juice goblets.
Yeah. Well, Hedwig does, because Harry's,
Yeah.
But
and it's so
I don't feel like
that Harry, like Hedwig knows, okay? This is how intuitive and lovely she is. She knows that Harry's not getting mail, but she still comes to visit him during mail time just for pets, just for toast, just for love.
He's her person.
Oh, heartbreaker.
Like, that is Harry's first true magical friend.
Yeah.
Like, he meets Hagrid first, but when he goes back home for a month, it's Hedwig. He's with Hedwig. And so Hedwig is like his first true magic, and who's there all the time, at school, at home. When he goes somewhere else, Hedwig is with him. Hedwig! We love Hedwig. But yeah, so he gets a letter from Hagrid asking him if he wants to come to tea. And then Ron says, oh, can I come with you to tea? And so they go down to tea. Oh, can I just tell you? Harry going, Hagrid. Huh?
First they have to go to potions class.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. Jeez, that's what the whole chapter's about. So the potions master is Mr. Severus Snape, none other than Professor Snape, the greasy-haired, hook-nosed teacher that Harry got a bad feeling from when he saw him the first time when they arrived at Hogwarts that night. And Professor Snape doesn't, Harry already thinks, dang, like, he doesn't like me. I wonder, like, what is that about? And, Ron's like, oh yeah, maybe he doesn't really like anybody. I hear he favors the Slytherins. Like, So then they have potions with the Slytherins. And by the time that class is done, Harry's pretty sure dude hates him. Like
it is a hate. It is a loathing.
Yeah, like a despise, like a very deep, It's not that he doesn't like you, sweetie. Like, he despises you.
Yeah.
And Harry's like, I don't know what that's about, but this dude hates me.
So the reason why we say this is because in the book, he literally, Snape is sitting there taking roll, and he's like, Mr. Potter, our newest celebrity. And then starts railing on him, like asking him all these questions. What's this? What's that?
What would I get if I mixed this and that?
Yeah.
Where would I find this? Except Hermione.
Hermione. Hermione.
You gotta love Hermione.
Teacher's pet wannabe Hermione.
I mean,
Madame,
her brain is just so big, she can't help it. Even when she tries to stop herself from sounding like a know-it-all, she just can't help it. She's just very Hermione.
I think you and I both have that in us, a little bit of Hermione in us, and there's just
a little bit though, because Hermione is overkill, bro.
Yeah. For us, it's just a little bit, but I feel like it's just a self-satisfaction. It's not to appease anyone else but ourselves, and that like.
It's because knowing that it's out of place, even though it's not bothering anybody, is bothering the hell out of us. Like, wait, can I just, because it's just shift it a little. Okay, now everything's right with the world. It's that feeling.
And then just
but yeah, like the behavior that Snape displays would be chastised in a child. And so it's a bit interesting coming from a full-on adult who's the professor and the teacher of the class, but nonetheless, he lets Harry have it. This fool bullies Harry like they're on the playground.
Man, I have to say, there are many adults who cannot express their emotions properly and who exhibit these exact behaviors. It
doesn't make it any less sad because that, sir, is a child. You have to think about the fact that this is a 20 or 30 something year old man talking to an 11-year-old child.
Yeah.
If I remember right, he was around 32-ish, maybe?
Hey, man, it doesn't stop him from not being able to let go. Like,
that is an 11-year-old child, sir. How do you look at an 11-year-old child and just let all that vitriol go like that?
Because it happens for people who don't process things properly.
See, that's how you're ruining your children, folks. Message. Okay, sorry. Okay, let's move on.
So they're in the potions classroom, and Snape rails on him. And
Harry loses his first 2 points for the house on the very first day.
Because he lost his first point from not knowing, for the cheek, right?
Because finally he was like, I don't know, but it looks like Hermione does. Why don't you ask her? That lost him a point.
He's like, those snide, snarky remarks you got going on right there. And how does he lose his second point? Do you remember?
don't.
So Neville and Seamus were working next to Harry and Ron, and they were working on a potion in class. And Neville makes a mistake, as Neville does.
I was going to say classic Neville.
Yeah, we'll call that classic Neville. And he puts in, I think it's the porcupine needles or something.
Oh, yes. Did you put the porcupine quills in while the cauldron was still on the fire, Mr. Longbottom?
Yeah. Because the potion explodes. It goes all over the place. It starts burning holes in people's shoes, and Neville is covered with it. And then
now I remember how he lost the second point.
Okay. Snape turns to Harry and says, "Why weren't you watching? Why weren't you helping them?" Right? Like, you could have prevented this catastrophe, Potter. 1 point to Gryffindor because you didn't help people who were not even your partner. You were just working next to their group.
And then he starts to say it's not fair, and Ron's like, yo, just, dude. Dude, just let it be. Just let it be. And then when they talk about it after class, and he's like, I've already lost 2 points for the house. And he's like, so Fred and George have lost loads of points. Nobody hates them.
Exactly. All right. Now they are able, class is over, potions lesson is over. It's the last lesson of the day or of the morning. I don't know. And they can go. No,
well, I know tea was at 2 o'clock. Probably the last of the day because tea was at 2 o'clock.
Yeah. And they go to Hagrid's hut for the first time.
And when they knock, Fang the boarhound starts barking all crazy. And you hear Hagrid going, back, back, back. He's trying to pull this dog back. He lets them in, and the dog licks all over Ron. And what sticks out to me on that one was Hagrid says, Harry, this is my friend Ron. And he looks at him, and it says he notices the red hair and freckles and says, ah, another Weasley, eh? Been chasing your brothers out of the forest for ages.
I know, that's so
I just love how everybody knows a Weasley when they see one.
You know what's funny? What stuck out for me when he opened the door was that it says Fang started licking Ron's ears. That's just how big Fang is. Mm-hmm. And how short the boys are in the first book, right? Because they're only 11. So
yeah,
Ron's ears are accessible. Like Fang can easily just lick them because he didn't jump up on them, right?
Right.
He just can lick them because that's how big
I didn't
he is.
look up how big a boarhound is, but just the fact that Hagrid was like wrestling with this dog to get it back as big as Hagrid is. Like all the signs of just how big this dog is.
I think the name should kind of tell you something, right? Boarhounds are large. They're really big.
I would assume like so. But yeah. So they go down to tea, they meet with Hagrid, they hide some rock cakes in their pockets because Hagrid cannot cook, but he's very hospitable and always tries to feed everybody. And they have some tea and they chit-chat.
What does he have hanging in the rafters? He has like pheasants.
All kinds of stuff. Some pheasants, cages. Friggin', they've come over, I mean, later on, like, they've come over and he's, like, drying sausages. Like, but whatever these rock cakes are, they were something with raisins in them. And Harry and Ron didn't want to be rude, so they were hiding them in their pocket because they were so hard they would have broke their teeth.
They were trying to eat him, you know. They tried.
And they tell him about their first week, and they go on about their business.
Yep. Hams and pheasants.
Hams.
Yeah.
See, I knew there was like food hanging.
I mean, he apparently cures his own meats. And he's a very industrious man. Or giant, half giant. He's a very industrious person, right?
Yeah, that's true. He's like a nature dude.
Yeah. His quilt is like a patchwork quilt. I guarantee you he made it himself.
Probably.
Yeah.
So while they're having tea, they haven't gone on about their business yet. I forgot another important piece of the chapter. So while they're over at Hagrid's having tea, Harry notices the newspaper, and there's a headline that says, "Break in at Gringotts." And they find out that the vault that Hagrid went to and grabbed the grubby little package, vault number 713, later on that day, there was a break-in and someone broke into that vault. But it was empty because they'd emptied it.
So, at this point in time, we still don't know that it was that vault.
Oh, that's right, because it says, Harry read the story again. The vault that was searched had in fact been emptied earlier that same day. Hagrid had emptied vault 713, if you could call it emptying, taking out that grubby little package. Had that been what the thieves were looking for?
Exactly.
Yep. So
at this point in time, it's only speculation.
Right. So I want to say this part of the book pretty much and the movie match up pretty much. Maybe a few minor details deleted, but
there's one thing that I made a note of that I thought was very interesting, foreshadowing. When in the midst of the boys getting lost in all the staircase hubbub, Mr. Filch caught them one time. And they were trying to get through a door that unluckily turned out to be the entrance to the out-of-bounds corridor on the 3rd floor. Now, do you remember who saved them?
No.
So it says he wouldn't believe they were lost, was sure they were trying to break into it on purpose, and was threatening to lock them in the dungeons when they were rescued by Professor Quirrell, who was passing.
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 Okay.
I thought that was an interesting little snippet, like a little Easter egg there.
Interesting. So yeah, that's this chapter. Pretty short chapter, but a lot of interesting little intricate details. Erica, what did you take away from this chapter?
More than anything, our initial introduction into Hermione's know-it-allness and how she just can't help herself, it's
really
just in
can't.
her nature. who she is. But also another thing that when Harry noticed that there were a lot of children who didn't know much about magic, right? So the big thing for me that I took from it was that like, look at all of the pure blood mania that we're going to run into throughout the series, and how that we even already have run into with Draco Malfoy at the beginning, talking about how he's a pure blood and blah blah blah. And Harry gets to school, he's at first all scared of the fact that he's going to be behind, and lo and behold, like, everybody
The only person who knows anything is Hermione.
And she is 100%. Both of her parents are muggles, right?
Dentists, to be exact.
You know.
So yeah.
What about you?
Okay. I just I loved getting to see him settle in. Just get comfortable and get his bearings and be somewhere where he felt like he belonged and where people actually like him. Like the Dursleys don't actually like him. So like, and he was bullied at school because of Dudley. So like, to just be out from under the Dursleyism was nice to see. And like figuring out his new routine as himself with friends and like I love that for him.
Me too. I have a question for you.
Okay.
So we were introduced to Peeves. This is kind of a would you rather question, but it's not really. Do you think that the movies franchise would have been the same or benefited from having Peeves the Poltergeist as a character?
I feel like it definitely would have benefited. Because number one, that is the biggest thing that the fans talk about book versus movie. If you don't know Peeves, then you haven't read the books. Like, you don't know Harry Potter if you don't know who Peeves is. That sort of thing. But also, like, for what the movies ended up becoming, they could have had Peeves in there. He didn't have to be a huge storyline or a huge, like, just like the fact that Fred and George in the movies are not as frequent as in the book. And so for Peeves, they could have done the same thing. Does that make sense? So I definitely think they missed out not having Peeves.
Yeah. I think maybe they thought they would have had to make Fred and George and Lee Jordan more slightly larger roles. And I mean, do you think?
Well, that's a misstep on their part. Because there's plenty of times where Peeves is just off on his own doing things. Like, he'll be in an empty classroom throwing chalk or whatever, like, or they'll be walking to class and he'll be hanging out on above a staircase somewhere dropping stuff on people. Like, that wasn't necessarily true. They wouldn't have had to, but I think they also missed making Fred and George such small parts. I mean, the swamp, the swamp.
Okay, for fans like you and me, I think that you and I would have loved to see a 30-hour movie. Like, give me all the details.
That's why I'm excited for the Max series, because I'm really, really hoping they do it justice.
Yeah.
The way that they would be able to break it down, they'd be able to do all of the good storylines that they missed or changed.
Yeah. Okay.
The things that made the book lovers true Potterheads.
Mm.
Just my opinion. Anyway, you ready?
Yeah.
Let's do it then.